I've got to learn how to tell stories. I'm going to tell the story about when I was in northern Thailand and ended up with no money, broke, sleeping on the streets. I'll tell that story one day, but I've got to practice telling stories and learn the art of telling a story, because I'm not a natural storyteller. I practice telling a story. It's called From a Back Soy Girl to a High Soy Girl in 3 Easy Steps. Now, a back soy girl or a soy girl. Soy means lane. So you got soy dogs of homeless dogs that live in the lanes. Soy just means a lane, back lane. There's a sort of a saying, soy girl. It just means that Thailand is very much classes. So you've got about 4 or 5 different classes. And it's not like India where you're born into a class. In Thailand, you can jump classes very quickly just by having money. You know, you can be born in a soy, but if you're driving a Mercedes and you live in a big house, you're up towards the top of the classes instantly, you know. Not like India where you're born into a class system. In Australia, we haven't got that sort of class system. We've got rich people and poor people, but they all intermingle and go out somewhere, and nobody's frowned upon because they've got no money. Maybe because if they behave like bogans was a word you could use. If they behave like bogans somewhere where they shouldn't behave like bogans, yeah, they'll get labelled as bogans. In Australia, I don't know what it is in other countries. Boat behind me going along. Yeah, so a soy girl living in the back streets, doesn't really want to do well at school because she doesn't understand why she should do well at school. She doesn't have to do well at school. She's just giggling, farting around and playing. Gets a job with her mum, selling rice and pork or something in an umbrella shop up the street. Everybody around has got the same background, so she has no ambition to do well at university, and it costs money to go to university, but you can do well if you have a burning desire to do well. But soy girl to high soy girl. What's a high soy girl? High soy girl is a level in Thai called high society, a high society girl. What's a high society girl look like? She's got the latest iPhone, showing it off to everybody, talking all the time. She's got all the plastic surgery. Everybody gets plastic surgery in Thailand who can afford it. That's a common thing. She's got the plastic surgery, she's got the big boobs, the eyes have been done, the nose has been done, chin might have been done, anything that needs to be done has been altered, and she's driving a BMW or a Mercedes, and she's got the fancy handbag, you know. She's got the handbag worth $1 million baht, you know, or a real good copy of one, but she wouldn't say it was a copy of one. But that's a high soy girl, and arrogant as all hell, you know. Won't talk to anyone below her level. So how does a soy girl become a high soy girl? Very simple. I'll abbreviate this, and as always I'll say it doesn't apply to anybody you know, it applies to other people, the other 98% of people. A soy girl becomes a high soy girl. Number one, she's got to hang around where flungs are. She gets a flung. She'll be 20, probably 20. She's probably got friends who have done the same things as what I'm talking about. And she says, my God, how easy is it? Okay, she meets a bloke, we'll call him Jack. Jack's come out to Thailand for a holiday. He's 40, going bald, he's 40, fat and unfit. And recently divorced or never got married. He gets to the bar in Thailand, sits there, starts drinking beer. So the bloke just pulled up with his couple of little kids on the electric scooter. He's waving to me. And this is rural Thailand, this is not the tourist area. Yeah, so she talks to Tom, Jack it was, or not Jack. Talks to Jack, and Jack sits down and she cuddles up, she comes up and she touches him, runs her hand up and down up his arm, she touches him, and then she goes like this. That's how it is. And then there's everybody over here, oh, where you come from? How long you stay? Where you stay? Conversation starter, you know. And then he answers it in between. You know, I come from England. How long are you staying? 3 weeks. Oh, okay. They've calculated some a mathematical formula. They know how long you got to hook into you. Whew, still warm. Yeah. So she meets him, and he starts, and then she says everything he wants to hear. Oh, how long are you here for? Oh, you have a girlfriend? I don't normally ask that. I just sort of wiggle around that question. They say, oh, you're very handsome. Oh, your nose so beautiful. Oh, you're very strong. And then they grab you by the shoulders and they flirt with you. And they tell you everything you want to know. And ego and flattery will get you everything in the world. Anyway, Jack goes, he says it's great, yeah. And then next night he says, no, I'm not going out with this girl. She's at the bar. I'm smart. I'm not going out with her. Next night he meets her again. Next night he meets her again. Meanwhile, she's just flattering him, buttering him up. Anyway, one night, whatever, he'll take her home. Maybe he's scared. He hasn't had much luck with women, so he waits a couple of nights because he's scared to take her home. You know, he's not confident. Anyway, he takes her home and she does all the stuff that he wants her to do. You know, and flatters him and makes him feel like the king of the world. Well, he's got another 2 weeks of that. He doesn't start drinking with his mates, he starts drinking with her, goes here, goes there. She shows him off to all the friends, they all flatter him. He says, this is the life, I'm coming back. So he goes off, hops on a plane, goes back to England, merrily working away. Happily smiling around the office. If you see a bloke that's been to Thailand, back in England, happily smiling, whistling to himself, you know what's going on. He rings her every night. He gets some holidays, he goes whizzing back to Thailand, of course, because that's all he's thinking about. Anyway, she gets back there, and then she starts working on it. Like, this is all within 6 months, so. She say, oh, you're a king of the world, you know, you're the little man. And she says, oh, darling, I'm sorry, I am not beautiful. Why, you are beautiful. No, I am not, darling. My num, very small. I didn't know, everybody laugh at me because I have very small boob. They're very small. Everybody laugh, darling. My friend, she go to doctor and get big num. Oh, very sexy now, very beautiful. Oh, and not expensive. He says, well, I don't know. Anyway, she keeps at him. And he starts thinking to himself, well, I've got an absolutely perfect girlfriend here. If she had big tits, big num, big bust, you know, that makes him feel good. I'll have a beautiful girl and she's going to have a big bosom, whatever you call it in your age group. Big num yay. Oh, darling, okay. So she goes and gets her operation. She gets the big breast implants. Looks good. And meanwhile, she says, oh, darling, doctors say I can get my nose, everybody laugh at my nose. They say I look like monkey. I want nose like Falung. Doctors say he can do same time as Num for very little money. Oh, how much? Oh, only this. Never stick too much to the truth, you know. Anyway, she gets the nose job. She ends up getting the eye job. Maybe a chin, a little bit of a proper shape of a chin. The big breast. Everything's great. And he's proud. She's turned into a movie star. You know, she wasn't just a good woman before. She's a movie star now. Yeah, he's ringing her up every night. She tells him the whole story. Sometimes she may or she may not. She tells him she don't want to work in the bar anymore, but she's got to do it because she's got to send money home to her mother, so she has to work in the bar because she can't get a job anywhere else. So he says, well, I don't want you working in the bar. How much would I have to send to you so you don't have to work in the bar? And she states a figure, pick a number. So he sends her that much money, and then she says, I can start a little coffee shop. That's another business, another thing I started. I'll start a little business and then I'll not have to work in a bar. How much? And she works on a figure. And he ends up sending the money. Now, a coffee shop will sell 2 cups of coffee a week. It'll be a little coffee shop, will sell 2 cups of coffee a week, but he's got to send her money to open it, to pay the rent and stuff like that. That's fantastic. And she'll keep wheedling on him. A little bit more, a little bit more. Meanwhile, she's working out how much money he's got back home. Has he got an inheritance? Does he own land? That stuff. Don't think Thai people don't know what you're doing in another country. Do you think there's no ties in England? There's no network going on? They ring them up and say, look, I want to find out about this fella. They do a search on you in their own little way, and they'll find out everything you've got down to better than the tax man. And if you haven't got a lot, and they're starting to get as much as they can out of you, they're not going to waste too much time, unfortunately. Now, while this is going on, okay, I'm not going to talk about the other blokes she's going out with and another bloke she's going out with. She'll have 2 or 3 of these blokes over in England sending the money not to work in a bar. And she works it out so when they come to Thailand, when you're coming next, never ever come unannounced to Thailand if you want to remain happy. If you come unannounced to Thailand and turn up where she is, he'll catch you with some other bloke. She'll always want to know when you're coming so she can work it on the calendar, you know, so she's free. And like I said, this is not your girl. This is 98% of the other girls, not yours, because yours is always different. So we just talk about one boyfriend, Jack. He comes. She's got beautiful body, confident. Then they say, darling, we can buy a house. I only live in a little house. I get kicked out, have to go somewhere, can I? And they'll go and buy it. Now I'll tell a story from my village in Australia, in Tasmania. My village in Australia, this is a true story about a bloke. He was a bit of a lad, you know. He's pretty handsome. He could always pull the shielders, no worries at all. He was always desirable item as far as a woman went. He came to Thailand. He met the absolutely beautiful woman, because he always had beautiful women. It's just who he was. And he had a little bit of cash behind him, a little bit of a business back home. He built a beautiful big house on one of the tourist islands, on one of the islands, I don't know, Koh Samui, somewhere down there, some bloody island. Fancy place, big place, you know, showpiece. He went home to take care of the family business and stuff. He come back out of the house, come back to see his darling out of the house. The place was a mess. The place was a bloody mess. There's bloody used condoms lying around and bloody, this was schmozzle. And here's another dude living there. What happened is that he'd moved her up the level, you see, gone up from level 1. She was now good looking, had a big house. She was halfway to a sci-fi girl. High society girl, because she had the house and she had a fancy car and stuff like that. But meanwhile, when she can go and sell herself, she can put herself on the market for the high sci rung. And he come home, and he was rich in his own village, but she'd hooked into somebody who was very high up in a multi-international, world-known business. And that was the latest thing. She was moved up a level, and he got the boot because he had improved her to another level. She could play at another level, you know, drive the BMW, buy all the good bags, present as being wealthy, being a high side girl. So anyway, poor old Jack in England, he's done her up, he's got a house for her, and that's what happens. She goes to the next level. She starts looking for a richer Westerner. And meanwhile, she's got a house and she's got a car and she's got a new body. She's got physical assets. Anyway, she'll hook into somebody who's rich in the West, we'll say rich, reasonably wealthy, you know, multi-business owner, and she'll hook into one of them. She would not be able to hook into one of them if she was a soy girl, because she would have absolutely nothing. She wouldn't have the fancy handbag, she wouldn't have the poise and the grace, she wouldn't have the big boobs, she wouldn't have the movie star face. She wouldn't have that unless Jack from England had paid for all of that and brought her up to that level. High side girls, Thai high side girls that are real high side girls, I don't think they want to throw in a flung husband at all. They've got their own high side university, high side males in the Thai society, in the army and politics and stuff like that, and the police high up in the hierarchy there. They've got their men in that level. They don't want to muck around with Westerners. So that's how in about 3 to 4 years, the soy girl from the back streets can become a high SOI girl with a new iPhone, slinky black dress, big boobs, classical movie star face, 1,000 baht handbags, all the symbols that she's a high SOI girl. And if you put all the morals away from it, take the morals out of a story, you take integrity and things like that away from it, why shouldn't she not do that, you know? Why should she not do that? That's just what life's about. Where's a rambly old story? I don't know if it's a story or not, I don't know. But I did laugh when I heard about this bloke turning up unexpected at his girlfriend. And the other rooster had moved into the camp. Oh, the poor bugger. But anyway, he'd be never short of a girlfriend. He'd be all right, he'd move on. Oh yeah, and of course, for those of you who don't know, Westerners cannot own any land in Thailand. So when you build a house with your woman, it is on her land. Technically, you might be able to remove the house. And I've seen videos of that done where Thai people have had a divorce, one owns the land, one owns the house, and the other person's come with a crew of people in a truck and dismantled the house and took it away. It was strange. But anyway, more lightning's coming. Rain will be coming. So what's my job? Drink beer. I've got to have another beer. 0-0. Low carbs, no alcohol. But it's nice and cold. Sun's gone. Now, Jack from London should have listened to these clues. These are the clues. When you ring your Thai girlfriend, whenever you ring your Thai girlfriend, if she doesn't answer the phone straight away, and you ring her frequently too, if she doesn't answer the phone straight away, that's a warning bell. If she tries to tell you, oh, I've got to work, I've only got a spare time between there and there, and makes a little slot that she can speak to you in, and you ring her the same time each day, that's a warning bell. If you ring her up and she's always in a room on her own, there's no other people around, she might say, oh, it's too noisy, I want to be quiet out here. That's a warning bell. The other boyfriend's in the other room. Here comes the rain. If she's in the toilet, you hear the echo. That's because the other boyfriend's in the other room. She wants to talk privately to you because she doesn't want him to know about you and doesn't want you to know about him. If you can't ring your girlfriend and she answers the phone every time and it doesn't sound like a bar, if it sounds like she's in the bar all the time and there's background bar stuff, there's a warning bell, unless she obviously tells you she's a bar worker. That's not a problem. The wind's getting up now, you can probably hear that when the wind comes. That's the rain pushing the wind. It'll start pouring very soon. He's coming up rough now. I'll go back home, I'll sit in the car actually and have another cold beer. I've got ants in the car. There's this thing in Thailand. In Australia you don't get ants in your car. But we've got a little toddler that gets in the car and he drops bits of food and stuff around and the ants will come into the car. So I've had to put some ant rid stuff in the car. Whew. I think I better pack it in, fellas. Rain will be here. I just know it. I just know it. Signing off down by the riverside. Guy, catch you guys.